join you here today. I'll try to speak loudly so it gets to the rest of the group. So thank you, Stephanie, for inviting me into this group this morning and for introducing me to your community of women. I've been watching you on Facebook and I'm so inspired to see the mission that you have to uplift and support women and children in our community and across this nation. So I have been cyber stalking you, and now it's a privilege to stand here today and meet some of you in person. I am a health, wellness, and life coach, and the focus of my work is on behavioral modification using psychological techniques. So the topic that we're talking about today is one of my favorites to speak on. It's becoming unleashed. So it is easy to get stuck in certain habits of thinking that lock us in place. The same thoughts lead to the same actions or inactions out of habit. So we know we want a different path forward, we want a different future, we want a different result, but we often don't know how to start, and so we are stuck and stay stuck for far longer than we need to be. So when it's time to move ourselves out of the rut of habit, it's time to shift. We're going to use that word today, shift, as an acronym, SHIFT. When we break that word down, it creates the mindset shifts or thought shifts that we can employ to move our life forward. So I'm going to talk about 5 of the most important mindset shifts that you can make, although there are many. And these are the 5 that when you are looking to start to change your life, this is the place to start. We start with S. C is your thoughts. So I'll ask a question. What is the most important relationship in your life? Think about that for a moment. And then raise your hand if you would say it is with a higher power, a significant other, or yourself.
Which one?
Any of those 3. Okay, the good news is everybody's hand is raised, and I would have raised my hand in the past as well, and that means that all of us would be wrong. Our most important relationship is with our thoughts. And the truth is we don't actually know any person, any event, any circumstance, any relationship, even ourselves, but through the filter of our thoughts. So I was raised in a household of perfectionists, and then I entered the world of ballet and gymnastics at 4, which did not make that perfectionist situation any better. My father gave me a protractor at the age of 5 for Christmas. I spent the rest of that day running around the house drawing perfect circles on every flat surface I could find, walls included. Over time, this perfectionist ballerina, protractor-using gymnast, developed a nasty internal voice. It was an inner voice of not enough, not smart enough, not tall enough, not thin enough, not pretty enough, not skilled enough, not round enough. So here's the thing. You have your own inner voice. Insert your own adjectives here. You have a story that you're telling yourself that you have crafted out of thoughts. But these are just thoughts. The problem is that we actually listen to those dysfunctional and skewed thoughts. The more we listen, the more we believe it. The more we believe it, the more power we give to it, and the more real it becomes. Until one day we wake up, and this is how we identify ourselves. It's who we think we actually are. But these are just thoughts that have created a story. So I work in the field of human transformation, and the only way to get somebody to move from point A to point B and change their life is to facilitate their changing of their thoughts. So the sharpest tool that I have in my kit is the combination of 2 words. What if? So what if you chose different thoughts? What if the opposite of the story you're telling yourself is as true or truer than the current story you're telling? What if your current story is just wrong? So if your first set of negative thoughts crafted a story, why can't new thoughts, more positive thoughts, more helpful, healthy thoughts create an entirely different story? This is seizing your thoughts. There's 3 steps to doing this effectively. The first step is to actually hear your inner voice. So when I did this work, I took a Post-it note, and my goal was to make a hash mark on that Post-it every time I heard my inner voice speak. The challenge to that is that my inner voice was so pervasive. It was background noise. It was the soundtrack for my life that I couldn't actually discern when it was speaking and when it wasn't. But once I started to hear that voice, that tally on that Post-it grew and grew and grew. And I'll be perfectly honest with you, by the end of the first day, I needed more than one post-it note to keep up the count. Step 1, hear your voice. Step 2, listen to the content. What is your inner voice actually saying to you? So when I did this work, I was stunned. Actually, more appropriately, I was horrified at what I was able to say to myself that I would never in a million years say to another human being out loud. But I had absolutely no problem saying it to myself. So it was clear I had work to do, which leads to step 3. Shift the tone, rewrite the story. Think of how you would speak to your most cherished loved one. You would speak with kindness, with empathy, with compassion, with understanding, and with forgiveness. Use that voice and speak to yourself that way. Rewrite your story. So when I rewrote my story of not enough, it became enough. I am capable enough. I am smart enough. I am strong enough. My circles are round enough. So this was just a shift in stories, but it holds the same power over your life as your first set of stories. So it sounds simple, right? Why don't we do this? Fear and comfort. This is a recipe for getting stuck in your life. It takes a certain amount of courage to consider that everything you are currently telling yourself that you can't do or be or have or accomplish might just be wrong. There is safety in the bubble we have created about who we are and how we show up in the world. It's normal. It's our normal. It's comfortable. But if your normal is not getting you where you want to be in your life, then you need to seize your thoughts, rewrite your story, and redefine a new normal. And then you need to heave your garbage. So heave is a powerful word. It means to lift or haul a heavy fan with great effort. None of us have gotten to any age in this lifetime without mental baggage. Our mental baggage is a picture of how we see ourselves in the world. Our mental baggage is compiled over time, and it becomes heavy. It also is a picture of our identity. Our identity at its core is a combination of the beliefs, concepts, thoughts, values, and worth we hold to be true about ourselves. So therefore, we get out of life exactly what we think we deserve. I'll say that again. We get out of life exactly what we think we deserve. So if we want something different, or more, or better, we need to start by believing we deserve something more, or different, or better. Which means we actually need to start looking at that baggage. So when I was younger, I liked to envision my baggage in a Louis Vuitton trunk. It was very pretty on the outside. I didn't really have to pay attention to what was on the inside. But as I've gotten older, I actually look at my baggage more like a Santa sack. It's unwieldy, it's ungainly, it is awkward to carry. But regardless of how you see the outside of your sack, it's what's inside that matters most. What are you carrying around your life, and why is it so darn heavy? So in 7th grade, I chose a choral elective. I loved singing. I mean, I really loved singing. I was that girl in the mirror with the hairbrush. I was taping myself on the boombox and playing back the cassette tapes. That's how old I am. My friend and I would roller skate in the driveway to me singing on the boombox. I loved singing. I was so excited for this class. I studied the sheet music. I learned how to read sheet music. I sang my heart out in this class. Our final class project was to go to a local senior center and perform James Taylor's You've Got a Friend. So we get there, we get ready, and we're walking into the hall, and my teacher pulls me off to the side, and she says, Laura, feel free to just go ahead and mouth the words. Okay, I'm sorry. Wait, what? Mouth the words? That gutted me. So I didn't take her advice. I belted out my part of You've Got a Friend like James Taylor himself. But I can tell you that her voice rang in my head. It stayed with me. It stuck. And all of a sudden, I started to see myself as somebody who couldn't sing, somebody who shouldn't sing, and somebody that nobody would want to hear sing. All of a sudden, I believed what she said. So, was that true? Malcolm Gladwell explains in his book Outliers that it takes 10,000 hours to master anything in our life. I had not applied 100 hours of practice to singing, let alone 10,000. I could have learned how to sing. I could have practiced singing. I could have become better at singing. And in fact, I could have still loved singing. But that is not what happened. What happened was I took her words, I packaged them up, I put them in my Santa sack, and they became part of my identity. Your identity drives your behavior. So if you identify as somebody who cannot sing, it is likely that you will not sing another word in your life. If you identify as a procrastinator, as one of our guests was talking about today, then you will likely delay the start of projects until close to the deadline. If you identify as an introvert, you will most often keep yourself away from social situations that you could find benefit from. Our identity drives our behavior. So it is important work to look at that sack, to figure out what actually suits us that's in there and what is just garbage. So here's how you do this work. Think of the words, the adjectives, the labels, and the names that you use to identify yourself. And I encourage you, write these down. Write them down and look at them. And then ask yourself a series of questions. Is this fundamentally true? What does believing this about myself cost me or give me? Did somebody choose this for me, or did I choose it for myself? Have I adopted this without question? Does this bring me joy or sadness? And if I laid this down today, what would it give me or cost me? And then when you are done with those questions, heave anything from that bag that is just plain garbage. Heave anything that does not feel real or true or feels false. Heave anything that belongs to a previous version of you but does not suit you for today. And heave anything that is just too darn heavy to carry into the next version of yourself. So many people believe that their identity is set in stone. In the work that I do, I have more people that tell me, I am who I am. No, you are who you choose to be. You absolutely and positively and fundamentally can choose a new identity. All you need to do is take what is in that bag that suits the old identity and get rid of it. Carry only the items forward that suit who you actually want to be in this life and how you actually want to show up in this life. So for me, when I did this work, I heaved the belief that I wasn't a good singer. I now sing openly and with abandon, and I am uncaring about whether I am a good singer or not. It brings me joy to sing, and so I sing. So in service to your most authentic self, I ask you to be real about the identity that you want to be living and heave the garbage that is not in service to that. That brings us to I, imagine your future. Most people would say that daydreaming is not your most effective use of time. And I would say that most people are wrong. Daydreaming is an incredibly effective tool to drive your life forward if it is done frequently and with intent. And when we daydream with frequency and intent, it's also called visualization. Study after study have proven the power of visualization. And one of the reasons why it's so effective is right here between your ears in your brain. You have something called the reticular activating system, or the RAS, which is essentially straining out information that doesn't matter to you and straining in what does. So it filters out the things that are not important in service to the things that are. But back to why your thoughts are the most important relationship in your life, your RAS sets the parameters for what is filtered in based on your thoughts. So the more you think about something that you want, the more effective your RAS is at delivering that into your life. So think for a moment, perhaps you've been shopping for a new car, and then all of a sudden, everywhere you go, that's the only car you see on the street. Or you find out that somebody in your life is newly engaged, which one of our guests is going through. Now, all of a sudden, every commercial is about love, or wedding dresses, or wedding venues.
Yeah, Facebook makes sure of that.
Or all of a sudden, somebody in your life, or you yourself, find out that you're pregnant. Everywhere you look, there's a diaper commercial, or a baby picture. Or more interestingly, you're in a crowded room that is loud, and for some reason you can hear your name spoken from across the way when it would seem impossible to hear it. This is your RAS hard at work. So the question would be, can I affect change on my RAS and make it work better for me? Yes, you absolutely can. Here's how you do that. 1, set your goal. What are you looking to achieve in your life? What does the life that you want to live look like? What sets your whole soul on fire when you think about it? What turns up the volume of your life, and what can you not imagine living another day on this planet if you aren't doing that? That is your dream, that is your vision, be specific. 2, create a mental movie of yourself living that goal. And I'm not just talking about a movie that you maybe want to see once but never see again. I'm talking about a movie that is Technicolor, 3D IMAX version of your life that you want to watch again and again and again. Like, anybody do that with The Princess Bride?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's kind of the movie we're talking about here.
Yes.
Where are you? What are you doing? Who are you with? What are you wearing? What are you eating? What is the facial expression that you have on your face? Be as specific as possible when you're doing your movie. And then 3, replay that movie again and again and again. Daydream. So, the reason why this works is that you are filtering in what matters most and filtering out what doesn't, right? If there is nothing else that you take from today, please take this and try it in your own life. Let me give you an example of why it works and how effective it is. So this past January, my corporate office closed in favor of a remote working environment and flexible hours. I love my home. I love my family. But spending 24/7 in that environment seemed like a recipe for going crazy. So I joined a local gym and I figured that I would start working out some fitness goals and get out of the house a little bit. Not long after, I took a spin class with an instructor who was also a local motivational speaker, Kevin Gracie. We connected immediately. It was like fireworks. We were just on the same page. And he invited me to try out to speak for an event that he was holding at the Crest Theater. There were 4 open spots for motivational speakers to join him on stage. So I've done a lot of public speaking in my corporate life, but not a lot of motivational speaking. That was going to be a little bit new for me. But it seemed like fun, wanted to try it, so I tried out, and I was chosen as one of those speakers. I got up on that stage, and in front of almost 1,000 people, I felt my life wake up for the first time ever. I felt my soul come to fire. I knew that I could not live another day not being able to share my heart with people through my words. I knew that this was something that I wanted to do. So I got off stage, and a couple days later, my team had a vision board event. So we talked about playing a movie in your head. Well, it turns out that having a picture of what you want to do is equally as effective at triggering that movie to start playing. So I attended the vision board event, and I created this. And I stuck this in the middle of my vision board. Okay, it's slightly creepy. It's my head on somebody else's body in front of a large audience. But the point was that I put this on my board, and then I hung my board in my house, and every time I walked by it, it triggered my movie to play about the future I wanted to create. My vision board event was on a Sunday. 2 days later, on a Tuesday, I received a phone call that I'd been chosen to speak in front of 12,000 people in Florida. 2 days later, I had held a near constant thought in my head about what I wanted to achieve. I replayed the movie, and then I was standing up there, my head on my body, speaking in front of 12,000 people. So again, I implore you, if you take nothing else, take this as a tool to move your life forward. Imagine your goal. Be clear in your movie and daydream. Play that picture again and again and again. You are telling your brain what is mattering the most to you, and your RAS will work overtime to deliver that into your life. Which brings us to F. Find your wonder. So we're going to talk about the F word, failure. So raise your hand if you are familiar with failure. So some people's hands aren't raised. Is anybody else familiar with failure? Okay. Keep your hand raised if you like failing. Not that many people, right? What I would like to convince you today is that you have never failed at anything in your life ever if you have learned how to leverage that failure for growth. So my hand is approximately 4 inches wide. Can you imagine for a moment standing in a space this size? And then imagine standing in this space 4 feet off the ground. These are the measurements for a regulation balance beam, and for 14 years I lived in that space as a competitive gymnast. Everything I have ever learned about failure, I learned perched on 4 inches of wood 4 feet off the ground. Falling off of this apparatus was a regular and normal occurrence. It was inevitable. But every fall was an opportunity to learn and grow and figure out how to be better and different and stay on that beam. As a young gymnast, I had not quite figured that out yet. I would fall off, I would jump back on, I would do the trick in the same way and fall off again. The definition of insanity being the same thing and expecting a different result, that was me. I was stubbornly insane. But as I matured as a gymnast, I realized that if I stayed off that beam, if I analyzed why I was in a heap on the ground, then I might be able to take a piece of information that would get me a little bit closer to success the next time. I say closer because not once, not ever, none of the time, not one trick did I ever try and succeed immediately. There were times where it took me 100 falls, sometimes 1,000 falls, to figure out what I needed to change to actually be successful. But the truth of those falls is that every single one of them was an opportunity to learn. And what that taught me in my life is everything is a lesson. Everything is a teachable moment. And if everything is those things, then everything includes failures. Failures are the scaffold for growth. They are the substructure for resilience and strength. The minute that I realized that was the minute that I ceased running from failure and started seeking it out in my life. I wanted to find failure, and in the midst of finding failure, I found the greatest gift of all. I found my wonder. I ceased being a perfectionist. I let that go a long time ago, and I became, and I think I made this word up, a failureist. I believed that if I fell in love with failure, I would be able to find my wonder and commit to curiosity. And if I wanted to do those things, then I needed to ask myself a series of questions whenever I felt like something hadn't gone my way. I wonder what I can learn from this. I wonder what gift is inside this to teach me. I wonder how this is going to change my life. And the ability to wonder all of a sudden opened up doors so that I could see everything in a more positive light. So what is the thing that's stopping us from falling in love with failure and from finding wonder? It's this, again, back to our brain. More specifically, the limbic brain. Our limbic brain, or what I like to call the lizard brain, is responsible for the basic reaction to stimuli, the fight or flight reflex. So its job is to keep you alive. And in the situations where you fail or fall, that is dangerous to the brain. Your brain is uncomfortable in those spaces. It wants to be comfortable. It doesn't like that. So you have to figure out how to circumvent your brain and be comfortable within the discomfort of failure. And the only way to do that is getting comfortable with uncomfortable. If you can learn how to stay uncomfortable, stay in that space, live outside of your comfort zone, then all of a sudden your brain will acclimate to that space. Your brain will start to become more comfortable in that space. And then you will be able to relax and find more wonder and joy in the perceived failures. I promise if you are able to do this, you will stop ever using the F word. You will never look at failure again in your life. You will only be able to see and find wonder. Which brings us to T. Take your temperature. If we want to unleash our life, if we want to move forward, we need to grow. We need to expand. The law of thermal expansion in physics says that, in general, when temperature is applied to something, it expands. And in this case, we're talking about the temperature of your life. I want to be very clear. You are perfect the way you are right now. You are perfect for today. You are perfect for right here. I'm going to say that again because as women, we have a very hard time hearing that. You are perfect for today. You are perfect for right now, and you are perfect for here. But if you want more in your life, if you want different or better, then today's perfect will not work for the future. You will need to raise your temperature, and you will need to expand. You've probably heard about the 5 people that you spend the most time around in your life are a representation of you, right? So why is that? How does that work? So it's Erin, is it not? Erin. So if Erin and I are both in rooms, and there's a adjoining door between our rooms, a connecting door. If my room is 80 degrees and Erin is trapped in a 100-degree room, when we open the door between our two rooms, my room temperature will rise 10 degrees to 90. Erin's room will lower 10 degrees to 90. So in a Sacramento heat wave, we're probably all happy about our temperature lowering 10 degrees, but if we're talking about our life, it doesn't work that way. If I spend time around 5 people that lift me up, that push me forward, that are doing what I want to do in my life, that are asking me good questions that make me dive deeper, they are raising my temperature. And all of a sudden, my 80-degree room is not good enough. I like 90. I want to be at 90. I want more of 90, which means that we might need to find a new set of 5 people. So I am not advocating to leave your spouse, to leave your job, or to unfriend everybody you know on social media. I am advocating, though, to take your temperature around those 5 people. If they are not lifting you up and moving you forward, if they are not asking you good questions and motivating you to do and be better, these are not your 5 people that you want to spend time around. That sounds harsh, but it is true. It's not that they don't love you, they do. It's not that they don't support you and want to see you grow, they do. It's just that they likely do not have the skill set to get you to a better place in your life. It's not that they are bad people, they are just ill-equipped to drive you forward in the specific goals that you are looking to achieve in your life. So you will need to find 5 new people. I did this work, and I can tell you that I had a reality check. My 5 were not good enough. They were not 5 people that were going to take me to the places that I wanted to go. That's hard to realize in your life. I needed to find 5 new people. I found them in books. I found them in podcasts. I found them in YouTube videos. I found them and sought them out in mentor relationships where those people were doing and living and being everything I wanted to be. And I spent as much time as possible with those people. I turned my car into a university. I listened to podcasts everywhere I drove. In the morning when I got up and worked out, instead of mindless television, I had my earbuds in and I was listening to somebody speak truth into my soul. Somebody that would rise my temperature up and expand my life. So I did not leave my current 5 people by the side of the road. I did not kick them off my bus. They are still in my life. But I just recognized that the people are in my life for specific reasons. Those 5 people are in my life for a specific reason that has nothing to do with driving me forward to my goal. Recognize what people are there and for what reasons, what they are capable of doing and what they can't. And if you need to, seek 5 new people. So in conclusion, when you are ready to unleash your life, when you are ready to move forward and find the best version of you, you need to shift. You need to seize control of your thoughts. Realize how powerful they are. They are playing in the background, but they are informing decisions that you make moving forward. You need to H, heave your baggage, heave your garbage from your baggage. Get rid of the things that are too heavy to carry and that do not hold you up and move you forward in the way you want to be moving forward in your life. I, imagine your future. If nothing else, take time to dream about what you want. Your brain will work behind the scenes to make that happen and bring more of it into your life. F, find your wonder. Stop thinking of things as failures or losses and embrace instead that there is wonder and things to learn and ways that you will improve and become a greater human being if you open your mind to it by finding wonder. And then T, take your temperature. Figure out who you are best served to spend time with and then go and spend time with those people. When you are looking to bring your life forward, those 5 mindset shifts are going to do the trick. They will bring you clarity in your priorities, a greater sense of purpose in the direction that you're walking, and a sea change in your life as far as the possibilities that you can achieve. We all here want to serve others well, but we can't do that if we are underserving ourselves. If we are not living an authentic life within the best version of ourselves, then how can we do the best form of work for others? The best version of ourselves is untethered. The best version of ourselves is unstuck. And the best version of ourselves is unleashed. Please unleash yourself today. I have some little reminders of shift that we can pass around the table if you're interested.
Absolutely.
And there's some contact information on the bottom if I can be of help in the future.
Thank
Wonderful.
you.
Thank you so much, Laura. Wonderful. Did anybody have any questions for Miss Laura? Okay, wonderful. Well, I want to talk to you after that. Perfect. Thank you. Awesome. Thank you so much. Okay, so we're a little short on time. I normally do a raffle for the raffle prize, but instead we're going to. Has anybody read Girls Stop Apologizing? Yes. Oh my God, it's amazing. It makes you cry a lot. Made me cry a lot. I loved it. Okay, so instead of doing a raffle. I am going to send it up here, and whoever wants to grab it can, because I know we're running a little bit behind here. And if you haven't read it, let me know, because we need to make that a thing, okay? Okay, so ladies, we're running on a little short on time. If you have an event, please post it onto the Facebook page so we can know about it and show up and be supportive. Ladies, we are all about at Empower, empowering each other, being a group of women who care about each other and also want to help in the community and in this world. And so I want to say thank you so much for coming and welcome September, right, ladies? Yeah. Woo! Have a great September, ladies. Thanks, Stephanie. Thanks. Okay, so goodness, this has been a crazy day. You're going to be leading a phone call from SRC. We already said it. Okay? You're leading a phone call. I have paperwork for you. I can borrow these.